Due to recent YouTube updates, comments and likes have become more important than ever. I beg you to please consider doing exactly that. I read every comment that you write me and answer whenever possible and or need. I'm also open to suggestions for future content. My videos are created without the use of AI, so please support your fellow human content creator against clanker slop. Thank you. The elevator door opened. Slowly, with a borderline malicious creaking, as it slowly revealed a darkness-caked hallway. It was like a wall, only penetrated by about 10 centimeters of the elevator's ceiling light. You gulped, while Jax was repeatedly pressing the continue button, though it didn't move. It stayed silent. Click, 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 click. The bunny man was getting visibly frustrated. And just then, thunk! At the end of the darkness, a face appeared with the same kind of noise that happened when lights were turned on in a warehouse. It was massive, floating, staring. No, its eyes and mouth were closed. It looked too realistic for the circus, its skin so white it glowed. You took a step back, but your back was already pressed against the elevator wall. Not now. He kept pressing the button, not even realizing that the face was coming closer. Jax! What? Finally he looked, and it was as if he was covered with ice water. Oh. The thing's eyes opened slowly, its lips pulling back, revealing multiple rows of glowing sharp teeth. Jax couldn't look away, but his button presses became rapid, panicked even. He smiled, looking back at you. I think this is a good moment to relax and just look. You were violently shaking your head, and then an ear-piercing, gut-wrenching scream came from the face. You too began to scream in fear as it rapidly approached. Beep, 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 Jax kept cursing. And just as the face was about to rush into the elevator, the metal door snapped shut. A loud clong followed, as the coffin began to ascend once more, the creature having hit its head against it. You slid down the elevator with a 1,000-yard stare until your butt made an audible thud, feeling the cold seep through your clothes. The adventure had lasted for what felt like days. It was called Elevator with Sauce! On paper it was a neat idea. Just enter the elevator and ride it to the final floor, and win. But the elevator stopped on each floor. They were randomly generated, at least according to Kane, and not even he knew what was behind them, aside from a predetermined algorithm that he didn't fully understand, apparently. You didn't get it either, and Kane would never tell you. The goal of each floor was to fulfill the condition for ascension, or just spam the button enough to just skip the floor entirely. This was trial and error and discovered by Pomni, until she got. As it turns out, not beating the challenge leads to one character just poofing away. So the safest way to reach the top floor was to just skip everything. You and Jax by now were the only ones left, and you were losing it. Crunch! The noise of bones breaking was loud enough for Jax to turn to face you. And he watched as your left hand was moving in ways that were impossible, like it suddenly became a spider. Even for the little circus, this was a little scary. You screamed in pain. Your fingers spasmed first, twitching in stuttered frames, moving forward and then snapping back as though reality couldn't decide where they belonged. The sound was wrong, a dry crack layered over digital static, each shift echoing like a glitching metronome. Your arm bent the opposite way, unnaturally fluid and rigid all at once, like a puppet whose strings had been yanked by too many hands. The motion repeated forward and back, leaving behind ghost images of your limbs that lagged half a second before vanishing. Your body convulsed as lines of code crawled across your skin, black symbols flickering like corrupted subtitles. Segments of you pulled apart in jagged shards of static, only to snap back together in a blur of light and shadow. The sound of your own breathing fractured, breaking into looping gasps that overlapped each other in unnatural rhythms. Jack stood there frozen, ears flat, watching as your legs bent into impossible angles, one moment stretched thin as wire, the next compressed into a heap of twitching fragments. Your face flickered, eyes multiplying across your forehead before collapsing back into two. Mouth pulled into a dozen frames of distorted screams, each one frozen like a broken slideshow. The elevator's ceiling light flickered, casting your shadow across the walls, but even the shadow convulsed wrong, jerking in a different rhythm than your body, dancing like a marionette under another master's control. Pain lanced through you with each shift, but it came in echoes, delayed and distorted. A second scream chasing the first. Your whole form writhed, unraveling and reknitting, a sick cycle of near collapse. And then, something warm wrapped around you, and a sigh brushed past your ear. Your eyes, previously spinning in their sockets, suddenly stopped, focusing in on Jax, who stared at you. If you tell anyone, I will deny it. Got it, Pick? Pick, as in P-I-C-K, was your name, based on your favorite candy. Of course you had chosen the name yourself. Pick's Pickles. It was a sour candy with the taste of lime. Inside the circus, what used to be a human form had become a reflection of your greatest fear, the fear of the unknown. Whenever you were stuck in complete darkness, your body would rearrange itself, similar to Zubul, though the difference was that you couldn't arrange your parts where you desired. They would randomly appear. Once one of your arms was sticking out of your mouth. You had the appearance of a female action figure, which made your transformations even more horrific. Whenever it was pitch black around you, it was as if a giant toddler picked you up in the darkness, pulled you apart limb by limb, and then put you weirdly back together. The process was painful and seemingly endless until light was once again shined upon you. Sadly, you lacked the ability to fully understand how others felt, and to you could only see your fate as the worst one. After all, who wouldn't want to be a cute little jester, or a funny little ragdoll? Or, in the case of Zubul, changed their body every day how they desired. Though, then again, you didn't want to be a chess piece, or whatever the hell Gangle was. But this adventure, it confronted you with the fear of the unknown in a completely new level. What Kane had sold as something fun to go through was in hindsight already a red flag. You'll never trust him say, just go through with it ever again. Every time the elevator door opened, something new and terrifying was on the other end, and finally, after hundreds of floors, you had cracked. Your body writhing in pain, foaming from the mouth, at least until Jax held you, gently pressing himself against you. Listen, I'm only doing this because I don't like having an extracted... Listen, I'm only doing this because having an abstracted in this coffin with me would be a death sentence. For me too. Got it? Pick. Your body, still tense, eased ever so slightly, almost unnoticeably. And yet, you nodded. Jax held you tighter as your body spasmed less and less. His arms were warm and steady, even though his ears twitched in panic. You gasped into his chest, and he made a low groan. Yeah, I get it. Don't abstract here, please. He shifted his weight as the elevator rattled upward again. His hand came up to your back, patting awkwardly. Why do you have to shake like a blender full of nails, huh? You let out a weak laugh against him, and that only made him huff louder. Don't laugh. This isn't fun, pig. And I like fun. You're not giving me fun right now. Your head rested against the fluff of his chest, and you realized how soft it was. The Binding Man was a wall of fur and muscle, and yet every sound from him felt real and alive. Jax tilted his head down, his ears brushing the top of your hair. You're heavy, you know that. He still didn't let go. Your arms clutched his overalls, and he gave a small sigh. Fine. If anyone asks, I'm charging you rent for this Carl session. Got it? Your heartbeat slowed in rhythm with the subtle rise and fall of his chest. His sarcasm didn't sting anymore. The tension drained, one breath at a time. Well, look at you, pig. He tipped your chin up just enough so he could squint into your face. You're a mess. You sniffled and he quickly looked away, ears twitching again. Don't make that face either. I'm not good at this, okay? Still his thumb brushed on your eye like he was brushing away a smudge. You leaned closer and he muttered. Great. No, I'm an emotional support animal. What's next? Group hugs with Kinger? Oh god, I'm gonna kill myself. The words came with a sarcastic bite, but his body never shifted away. He tucked you tighter into the space under his arm, letting you breathe in the warmth of his fur. Every shudder in your body slowed with his touch. The elevator creaked again and Jax muttered curses, but his grip didn't change. You know, pig, I could be sleeping right now. I mean, technically you can't sleep in the digital circus, but I could try. You tilted your head against him, your lips almost brushing his shirt. Don't fall asleep on me either. That's creepy. His fingers idly combed through your hair, tugging at the tangled strands. Oh god, this feels like yarn. You hummed faintly and he pressed his chin to the top of your head. Fine. Just don't abstract, got it? Stay right here, alright? Uncle Jax is right behind you. Normally this would be a threat, but right now it didn't feel like one, because it wasn't one. You let your hands find his arms, tracing the shape of them. The soft thump of his heart made the flickering light in the elevator feel less oppressive. You're really milking this pig. He leaned back just enough to look at you again, his smirk tugging at one side of his mouth. But he didn't pull away. You leaned into him again, and he groaned like it was the worst thing in the world. Ugh, seriously, pig, I'm not a pillow! But his arm pulled you tighter and his hand rubbed circles on your shoulder. The warmth spread through you like a blanket, and your breaths finally came steady. Well, he was a potty mouth. His body said a different story, and you kind of found that endearing. Don't drool on me. You shook your head weakly, but kept your face pressed into his chest anyway. Jax muttered, but he didn't move. The elevator lights flickered, and every time they did, he tugged you closer. Don't look at the walls. Just stay here. Stay here. Got it? His hand went back to your hair, running through it slowly like he was smoothing out the glitch itself. Jeez, pig, if the others could see me now, I'd gonna lose all the respect I built up over the years. Respect? You thought for a moment. But you smiled into him, and he sighed sharp through his nose. Don't smile like that either, it's weird. His ears twitched and then flattened as he bent his head low enough that his cheek brushed against your temple. The soft fur tickled and made you laugh again. I'm serious, stop laughing. I'm gonna let go. Still his cheek stayed against you, as if the closeness kept you anchored. Your body stopped twitching, and his sarcasm slowed with it. You're calmer now. I like that. His voice dropped low, almost thoughtful. I mean, it's good because I don't want to deal with an abstracted roommate. Yeah, that's why. Your hand slip up his arm until your fingers tangled lightly in the fur of his collar. Jax froze for a moment and then muttered, Pig, you're pushing it. But his other hand moved to rest against the side of your face, thumb brushing over your cheek. You tilted into it and let out a soft breath. The elevator hummed, and the only sound left was the two of you breathing together. You looked up at him, your eyes still shining with tears. If you kiss me, I'll stay calm. Jax's ear shot straight up and then fell back flat against his head. Pig, that's blackmail. That's what I do. I'm proud of you. You gave him the smallest grin. But what if it works? He groaned, dragging his hand down his face before looking back at you. Unbelievable. But I'm actually considering this, and I hate myself for that. You leaned closer, your nose brushing against his fur, and whispered, Jax. He stiffened and finally slumped against you, muttering, You're lucky. I think you're cute. Before you could reply, his mouth pressed yours. It wasn't rushed or clumsy like his words always were. It was steady and warm, and soft enough to make the elevator and its horrors melt away. But then he pulled back just far enough to rest his forehead against yours. All right, Pig, there you go. You got something nobody else ever got. Are you happy now? You smiled wide, your body light for the first time in what felt like days. He groaned again, but this time there was no bite in it. Fine, but don't ever tell anyone I did that, okay? You closed your eyes against him and whispered, I won't. And so the elevator continued its climb. Jax keeping his arms around you, refusing to let go. Hey, you reached the end of the video. That makes you part of an exclusive club. Our secret password is Cheap Thrills. Put the secret message in your comment below to tell fellow members you watched the video until the very end. Lastly, before I say goodbye, I would normally shout out my channel members. However, due to losing monetization, I currently do not have access to both channel memberships as well as a list of previous channel members. Nevertheless, I'm eternally grateful to the channel members I used to have, and in the case memberships get reinstated, I hope I'll see you again. Thank you for watching.